The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB FM. Thank you for listening.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
In light of the Me Too movement and the Bill Cosby sentence, it's important to look at the connection of blacks in the criminal justice system. Experts say that there are blatant racial disparities in the criminal justice system, and people of color are significantly overrepresented in the U.S. prison population. Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and today on Hampton Roads Voices, we'll talk about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system. Next, right here on Hot 91.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Experts say there are blatant racial disparities in the criminal justice system, and people of color are significantly overrepresented in the U.S. prison population, and they make up more than 60% of people behind bars. Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and welcome to Hampton Roads Voices. Now, in light of the Me Too movement and the Bill Cosby sentence, it's important to look at the connection of blacks in the criminal justice system. So today we're going to look at the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system. In the studio, I have two expert guests, Dr. Okumalafe, professor and department chair of the political science department. Welcome, sir, to our show today.
Thank you, Benita.
And
it's nice to be back.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Carol Pretlow, associate professor, also in the political science department. Welcome so much.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
So when I was thinking about this show and starting to plan this show, I wanted to start not only with the Me Too movement, but the thought came about as we heard about the sentence for Bill Cosby. And that really is the genesis of why we're really doing this show. Now, let me invite our listeners to call in, because we really want to have this conversation because it affects us. Our number is 757-823-9110. Now, we know it's a sensitive topic, but we invite you to share your Me Too story. So please, if you want to remain anonymous, that is fine with us, but 823-9110. How do you feel about the Bill Cosby sentence? 3 to 10 years, was it too harsh, too lenient? What about other men accused of sexual assault who are not men of color? Give us your comments, especially on the Me Too movement and the sentence. 757-823-9110. So let's start with the Bill Cosby sentence. Then we'll move into the Me Too movement. What were your thoughts, Dr. Pretlow, when you first heard?
Well, immediately, of course, I was sad on both counts because I can understand the perspective of women who were affected by his actions. But then on the other hand, I thought about his age, and I was wondering why they didn't give him house arrest, because it is unlikely. I mean, given his age, it's not that he's going to be a sexual predator. I mean, I sound ageist when I say that, but the reality is I don't think he is an immediate threat to the community or to anybody. So I think they could have been a little more lenient. Not saying letting him off entirely.
Absolutely.
But how about house arrest? How about counseling or something like that in the midst of that house arrest? And having someone monitor maybe on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. A, what were your thoughts when you first heard the sentence?
Well, Benita, let me start by saying that this is a very sad page in American history. We're talking of America's dad.
Yes.
And I know hundreds, if not thousands of people who are listening to me right now grew up watching Bill Cosby. And I'm not even talking about Cosby show. I go back to the I Spy for those of us who can remember, right? Okay. Yes, Bill Cosby is an icon. But here's the thing, though. And I know you're going to open up the lines very soon, so I may get in trouble with what I'm about to say. But I got to say, the political scientist that I am, we have a justice system, okay? And there is one way where we determine guilt or innocence.
Okay.
You may not like it. We all know it is not fair. We all know there's a whole lot of work to be done. Unfortunately, when you have a jury of your peers, rightly or wrongly, and I'm not going any way with this, it's not a matter of personal opinion as of now, but it's been said, it's been judged that Bill Clinton, I said Bill Clinton. Just forgive
We're
me.
not going there today.
Bill Cosby.
That's another show, everybody.
Bill Cosby, C-O-S-B-Y, you understand, has been found guilty. And I know you're going to be asking us questions, about how fair that is or not. But I just want everybody is there to know that this is the justice system that is at work.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about the fairness later.
Absolutely. We have one caller on the line. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from, please? If you choose to give your name. Oh, I think we lost that person. If you could call back, and they're calling 757-823-9110. We're talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and the criminal justice system, especially as it is related to people of color. And that, again, we know it's a sensitive topic, but sharing your Me Too story, how do you feel about the Bill Cosby sentence? Too harsh, too lenient? Did it matter to you that he was known or is known as America's dad? Join our conversation at 757-823-9110. Now, Dr. Pretlow, you mentioned, of course, that you said, I feel a little like I'm being ageist or something like that. He's 81. But sometimes I need to go back and think that he's 81 now.
Yeah.
But he wasn't 81 years ago. He was a young man.
Exactly. And I understand, but the fact is that if we had paid attention to some of the ramifications or some of the implications of sexual assault back in the day, maybe he would have been charged then. And then I would not have had, I know he's America's dad and all that, but I wouldn't have had the feeling that I do now about it. Yes, sexual assault is wrong, regardless of the age, but at the same time, part of the criminal justice system is to reform acts.
Right.
And it's interesting because, as I told you once before, I taught in a prison for about 2 years. And I believe adamantly that people can change and can be rejuvenated or rehabilitated or get back. But at 81, I'm not so sure.
So you're saying too little, too late?
Too little, too late.
Too little, Dr. A, too little, too late?
No, I don't think so. Because sexual harassment, sexual assaults, no matter how you want to slice or dice it, it's not good. There are two issues here at hand, and I don't want us to conflict both issues, okay? One is the guilt of Bill Cosby, and there are very few people out there probably, who would say that the way he was tried was not fair. If you ask me, my personal opinion, I believe that he's guilty. I'm separating the man now from the American dad icon. The second issue is the judicial system. You understand? Because what we're going to be considering too, if I understand that perfectly well, is how fair is the system to African Americans.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's very different from the guilt or innocence of Bill Cosby.
Absolutely. We have some callers on the line. And let me, Dr. Pretlow, hold that thought for just a moment. Let's go ahead and take our callers. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, if you choose to give it? And where are you calling from, please? Hello?
This is Mike from Hampton.
Mike from Hampton. Mike, what is your question or comment, please?
Why hasn't Harvey Weinstein gone through this treatment?
And you feel that it is unfair because he really was part of the catalyst for the Me Too movement. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
just because a criminal is a criminal.
Okay. All right. Mike, let's throw that to Dr. Pretlow. Dr. Pretlow, thank you for calling, Mike.
Well, I'm glad Mike brought that up because one of my students this morning made the same point. And this shows that there is a disparity in the way African Americans are treated in the system and the way European Americans are treated. There is also a difference for those who are wealthy and those who are poor. And obviously, I think those disparities have to be eliminated. But that gets back to who do we elect in office? The people who we elect and as congressmen, senators, on up the chain, make decisions about how the system will be operated, and they are interpreting how it's going to be operated. So it's almost like a wind that has to encompass or has to take over everybody and everything.
Okay, we have another caller on the line, and please hold when you call because we know we're going to get a lot of calls. We'll get to you as quickly as we can. Caller, you're live on the air. If you choose to give your name and where are you calling from, please? Hello, are you there? All right, let's hang up and get the next caller, please, Adrian. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from? Hello, are you? Yes, I can hear you. Are you there? Okay, we've lost a couple of calls, but you can call us back, 757-823-9110. 823-9110. Dr. Pretlow, you're saying it matters race, it matters economic status. Those things
really
matter.
Do. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you start with who defends you when you get in court. And how much are you going to pay your attorney or an attorney? Now, surely you have public defenders. They have massive amounts of cases. And I have gone to visit or gone to see cases where as the attorney is walking in the room, he's kind of getting set to defend this person. He has had very little time to research and look at the background itself. He or she is looking at printed information and making motions and all. And I understand we're not putting enough money in the system. On the other hand, the wealthier you are, if you're a wealthy person like Weinstein, you then have hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for your defense. And even getting witnesses to testify on your behalf is not as problematic as it is for a person of color or a person of limited means.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a break right now. We'll come back on the other side. And again, we are asking your experience in the Me Too movement. What do you think about the Bill Cosby sentence? Too harsh or too lenient? Give us a call, 757-823-9110. This is Hot 91.
It's Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, this is Hampton Roads Voices, and we're talking today about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and overall blacks in the criminal justice system. In studio, we have Dr. Kumalafe from the Political Science Department here at Norfolk State University, as well as Dr. Carol Pretlow, also from the Political Science Department. We have a couple of callers on the line. They're calling at 823-9110. Caller, you're live on the line. That one was dropped. Let's have the next one, Adrian. That one dropped. Okay, go ahead. You're live on the line. May I ask your name and where you're calling from, please?
My name is Maya. I'm calling from Norfolk.
Okay, Maya, what is your question or comment?
I feel as if with the Me Too movement, it's a little bit harsh because I've been in that predicament. Not drug though, but I've been in that predicament. And it don't take 16, 18, 20 years to come forward. I feel like they only did that because the majority of them was white women, not playing a race card, but they only did that because of his name and what he was trying to accomplish.
So you think? I'll ask you a couple of questions to clarify before I throw it to our guest. Are you saying that he was sentenced, meaning Bill Cosby was sentenced harshly because he was black, and women shouldn't take that long to come forward with their story? Is that what you're saying, Maya?
That's what I'm saying, because, I mean, it took me like a year and a half to talk about it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand it takes time, but like I said, he was trying to get his own, get his own network or whatever, allegedly. So being as though that now you have people, like some people waited until like the statutory limits came. Like you got to put everything into perspective. If it really did so-called happen, people would have said something. Like I said, it takes years to talk about it, to, process it, but I feel as if there was too many people just ganging up on him and just, oh, that's Bill Cosby. Let me get some type of fame or money off this. That's how I feel.
Thanks, Maya. Thank you so much for calling.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. A, what do you think what Maya said?
Maya, thank you very much, number one, for the call. But I have to say, I cannot disagree with you more. Please let us be very careful, because there are women out there, there are girls out there who are listening to us, who are victims of sexual assault, who are victims of sexual harassment. Please, I don't want us to, conflate race with sexual assault. And by that, this is what I mean. Kavanaugh today is being accused of sexual assault, something that happened 30-something years ago. Kavanaugh is white.
Okay.
Okay. This is painful for me to say, but please let us be very, very careful again, because there are girls who are listening to us. Okay. We should be able to compartmentalize.
So
the guilt of Bill Cosby
right
has probably very little to do with race. Somebody raised the question of Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein has lost almost everything that he has.
Okay.
Harvey Weinstein is going to have his day in court. Harvey Weinstein is probably going to meet the same fate, if not even a worse fate, than Bill Cosby.
Well, let me hold you for just a second. Let's go ahead and take these calls. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Marisha. I'm from Virginia Beach.
Okay, Marie, what is your question or comment, please?
My comment is about the Me Too situation. I understand where first I want to say hello to Dr. Pretlow and also Dr. Komalafe. I took both of their classes a few years ago. But I want to say about the Me Too situation, what Ms. Pretlow was saying about the harshness of the sentencing, I do agree it was too harsh. But whether or not I agree they should give him a lighter sentence like house arrest, that would cause for the other people in his situation to say, well, you know what, me too. I'm old as well. I deserve that type of treatment as well. Maybe I should just have house arrest. And they may not share the same views as him. I believe that people can change. And no one is coming forward saying that he has done this to them in the recent years. Unlike some of the other people who are on the stand in the situation that he is in, they've been brought to this situation in the recent years, and they're a little older themselves. So I say we should take those type of things into consideration. I do think that they're clout chasers. They're trying to get something off of his name or to try to downgrade his name, because we have lost a lot of people in our community who are great to either death or prison or being slandered by the media. And we can't say that it is all true, but we also cannot dismiss it all. I just say we have to tread lightly. These are figures who we've grown up under, and it is personal to us, but it's not personal to them. So we just have to know the difference.
Wow. Thank you so much for that call, Marie. Let's take the other caller on the line, and then I'm going to ask both of you to comment on both questions. You're live on the air. What is your question or comment, and what is your name, please? You're live on the air. May I ask your name and where you're calling from?
I just say we have to tread lightly. These are figures who we've grown up under, and it is personal to us, but it's not personal to them. So we just have to know the difference.
Wow. Thank you so much for that call, Marie. Let's take the other caller on the line, and then I'm going to ask both of you to comment on both questions. You're live on the air. What is your question or comment, and what is your name?
Hello, are you live?
You're live on the air.
You're live on the air. What is your name, please?
My name is Dominique.
Dominique, what is your question or comment, please? And if you could turn your radio down, I think that's what I'm hearing in the background.
I tried it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Dominique, what is your question?
I'm calling from Virginia Beach, and I want to say thank you for taking my call. I think I don't want to downgrade either the fact that what he did was wrong. However, I do feel as if racism is a big issue when it comes to guidelines as far as sentencing African Americans or any type of minority, which is a big issue that we're dealing with. I don't think anyone is so much of disputing the fact that he was wrong. If he took advantage of someone, even if it wasn't Bill Clinton, it could have been myself, it's wrong. However, the guidelines and the sentencing guidelines that they make us stick to as African Americans, it's too harsh. And it's like we can't bend a rule. And I think the only reason that they did, do this to him is because he was about to do something big with this on air or whatever. But I just feel as if we don't have a fair chance as Kavanaugh and the rest of the people that are going to be judged by the justice system.
All right. Thank you so much, Monique. I'm going to ask our guests to make some comments. Dr. Pretlow, I'll start with you. Marie talked about his age, and she said we hadn't heard that Bill Cosby had done anything as an older man. And then Dominique talked about the guidelines and thought it really has something to do with race. What are your comments about?
I think both young ladies are totally correct. And I don't think and I know it's hard to process this because there cannot be a one-size-fits-all formula. But I do think when you look at the percentage of African Americans in the criminal justice system and you look at the crimes that they are there for, you say, wait a minute, what's happening here? Now, sexual assault, rape, and all, that's wrong regardless. But when your penalties exceed what other races are getting for that same crime, then you start looking at it and saying, well, what's happening here? Now, as far as the women coming forward, I again think I listened to Don Lemon the other night and saw the emotion that he was displaying because of someone that he knew. And I understand totally. Everybody doesn't react the same way because, and I think I've discussed it before here, and this is when I was assaulted, people were like, well, she must not have been assaulted. She's back in school. And I was like, everybody doesn't react the same way.
Right.
Some people have emotions and mind you, I'm not saying I totally got over it, but thanks to a compatible or wonderful environment here at Norfolk State, I was people were compassionate and thoughtful. Now, that gets you to the criminal justice system. That system was not responsive to either me or helpful to the young man that was charged.
Absolutely.
For me, it was, why was she doing out there? And the police were, it's probably a boyfriend. Well, I mean, if it were a boyfriend, it wouldn't be rape. I mean, or sexual assault. They were not. But the black community got together and said, let's look at what is happening. Let's look at maybe it means more African Americans working in the criminal justice system to bring some compassion.
Dr. A, we're going to take a break, but on the other side, I'd like you to make a comment about Marie and about Dominique's comments that they made. Again, we are talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and yes, this is Hampton Roads Voices. We're talking today about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system. Please give us a call, 757-823-9110, excuse me. We know it's a very sensitive topic, so if you choose not to say your name, that's fine. But tell us your Me Too story. How do you feel about the Bill Cosby sentence? And what about other men who have been accused of sexual assault who are not men of color? 757-823-9110. Now, Dr. A, we heard from Marie, and she made the point about the age of Bill Cosby, and Dominique talked about race and equality and the guidelines. Please comment on those.
And, I listened to the two ladies, and to some extent, I do agree with them. But here's where I dissent. Again, let's talk about the facts. African Americans are arrested, at a higher rate than whites. The possibility or the probability that they're going to go to jail is way higher for the same offense. They're going to spend more time, okay? So the fact that there is a disparity, it is then in the way justice is meted out between blacks and whites, very few people, at least of very good intentions, would disagree with that. But here's what I want to emphasize again at the risk of sounding like a broken record. Okay? I don't think Bill Cosby is in jail today because he's black. I would say Bill Cosby is in jail today because he did something that is very odious. He did something that is very wrong.
But Dr. A, do you think that some people are finding it difficult to separate the two?
And Harvey Weinstein will have been a very wrong example to bring up. Let me tell you the example to bring up if you want to talk about whether what happened to Bill Cosby is fair or not. Hello? The President of the United States was accused by 2 women, 3 women, I don't know how many of them, you understand? And instead of facing the criminal justice system, what happened? He was elected as President of the United States.
Absolutely.
Okay? Nothing happened to him. But
he lost his law license.
He was not even a lawyer. I'm talking about
I know he wasn't a practicing attorney, but he had passed the bar in his state, and he lost the license to practice law.
Oh, I'm lying. I didn't even know that.
Well, let's go ahead and go to the phones. We have a couple of callers on the line. Caller, what is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
There's a difference between the two.
Yes.
You're live on the air. If you choose to give your name, where are you calling from and your name?
Yes, my name is Amika, and I'm calling from Norfolk.
Okay, Amika, what is your question or comment, please?
Yes, I'm coming up with the Bill Cosby situation. It's kind of like what's wrong is wrong, black or white. You know, some things just catch up with you. You know, I am a Bill Cosby fan. I love him to death. You know, I grew up in the 70s, and that's what I do. But there is no white or black in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a woman says no, and people use their power to do things that don't have anything to do with certain things. It's just that what he did was morally wrong. And some things, you keep doing things, it catches up with you.
Okay.
And I feel bad that it's Bill Cosby, you know, but, you know, that there is, as far as that, you know, I'm a woman, poor, rich, or whatever, that morally that's wrong. When we say no, it's no. And as a woman, we have to even fight off our own husband or boyfriend with the word no. You know, some women like to do what they do to get to the top. It's 90%. But the other 10% that don't want to be that, they don't want that. Because a lot of times men use their power. And some men some men like forceful and to see how far they can get, you know. And it could have been worse. 3 to 10 years versus the 40 is good. Yeah, tell you the truth.
So, Amika, you're saying what you're saying is it's not so very much race. It's just justified for a crime. Is that what you're saying?
Very much so. Okay. Yes, because, you know, we women, he's going to jail now. But then at the end of the day, we as women, I feel bad for those women. I've even seen Beverly Johnson. Beverly Johnson? Really? But like I said, yes, you know what's right is right, because there is no race with a woman and her things. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Amika, thank you so much for that call. We really appreciate it.
And thank you. You have a great day.
Okay, you too. Is there another caller? Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name if you choose to give it?
Okay.
And please, can you turn down your radio? We're getting some feedback, please, before you ask your question. Are you there? Caller, you're live on the air. Are you there? Okay, let's go ahead and make some comments. Then Dr. A, we heard Mika say what's wrong is wrong. That really echoes what you said as well.
And I'm so thankful, because when I heard that, I say, okay, thank goodness, you know, there are people who, you know, actually feel like exactly the same way. And here's another thing, Benita. If we look at what Bill Cosby did in terms of color, in terms of race, please do not forget that one of the two of the women who accused her, Beverly Johnson, you just said, are black. Okay? We can argue or talk about this all we want, all day. At the end of the day, it's going to boil down to one thing. what message are we sending to young girls? And like the other caller said, what is wrong is wrong. This is not about left or right. This is about wrong and right. Okay?
Okay. Let's go ahead and take that caller that's on the line. Caller, you're live on the air. If you choose to give your name, what is your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Kenzar, and I'm calling from Chesapeake.
Okay, Kenzar, what is your question or comment, please?
Well, my comment is in reference to Bill Cosby. I feel like that was a harsh sentence that he received, even though I know he did, they say he did the wrong. But the man is...
Kenzar, are you there? Okay, seems like we lost Kenzar's call. But Kenzar was, I believe, getting ready to say he did it wrong, but he's older. I believe that's probably where he was going. And Dr. Pretlow, you had mentioned that as well. But I did challenge you on that a little bit and said we didn't do it when he was 81.
The other thing is, and this goes back a way too, I remember Bill Cosby coming to this area, and one of what he talked about was the black community and how we needed to get our act together and we need to get education and we need to stop begging people for stuff and all the trite,
I remember that.
very hurtful comment. He was like, well, if I did, you ought to be. And I sat there and listened to him, and I respect people's opinions, but I thought it was very disrespectful of the black community because nobody says, you know what, I think I want to be poor today. I want not to have money and food, and I don't want to have to be able to send my kids to college, and I like not having things. Nobody says that.
Yes, and that speech really was not well received. I really do remember that. Let's go ahead and go to the phones. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your question and comment, please? And your name, if you choose to give it.
It's Doug.
Did you say Doug?
Yes.
Okay, Doug, what is your question or comment, please?
I want to comment first. Thank you for answering the call, and it's a good topic.
Thank you.
Two-part. Bill Cosby, what he did was wrong. I think a lot of the black community are looking at because he's an older fellow now that he should have gotten some leniency. However, what he did was wrong. It was in a court of law. It was proven. These ladies came out and said he did it. It is what it is. But I think for me, what I taught my sons is don't put yourself in a position to be judged by the system. You know, and when a woman tells you no, that means no.
Right.
You know, there's a conversation that's going to be had. I think that what Bill Cosby faced was the same thing that O.J. faced, was that you're talking about a young black man who came up in the early 50s and 60s, was successful as a comic, had all these white women coming at him. He could have any woman he wanted, when he wanted. So now we got what's called get back. It doesn't exclude what he did. However, when you put yourself in a position to be judged by the system, I don't care how much money you got. If you're black, they're going to get you. And they're going to keep going until they get you.
So you're saying he put himself in a compromising situation, and now here is the result of that, even though he is 81.
Yes, because like Mama, you told all of us, what you do in the dark comes to the light. Now, he did this years ago. However, he's still a living man, and these women are still damaged by what happened. Now, whether they're doing it for money, they're doing it for fame, to get a movie deal, don't know. However, had he not done it, he wouldn't be judged. And I don't think he should get a pass just because he's in his 80s.
Thank you.
That's my comment.
Doug, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate
Doug.
that. Let's take one other caller before we... Oh, no other caller? Okay. Dr. Pretlow, you wanted to make a comment about Doug's...
No, I think Doug was on target. And naturally, you see someone in their 80s, 90s, as you kind of feel protective of them. And you forget that their actions affected a lot of people who are still a part of the system and are still walking around every day with this as a part of their life, of their life's history. And so No, he can't. He's not forgiven. But there has got to be some balancing act. Mm-hmm. Yes, he should be punished. I agree with that. But I just look at the prison, and I haven't been to a prison in a long time. So I remember the situations of the cells and all of that. And somehow to see an older person, an elderly person going through that, whether they're white, black, yellow, whatever, it just hurts.
It just hurts.
May I just say one more?
Absolutely. And then we'll go to break right after that. Yes.
Because I disagree with my esteemed colleague.
Of course you do.
I know. We do that all the time at work. No, age has nothing to do with this. Absolutely not. Like we say, age ain't nothing but a number. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's the thing. We would even be having the conversation about age if the shoe were to be on the other foot.
Meaning what? If
Bill Cosby was white.
Okay.
Oh, I agree
would
with
we
that.
have said that, the poor man is 80 years old, he's 90 years old, or 3 to 10 years. Oh, that's a whole lot for some. It doesn't matter if he's 100 years old.
Right.
Like the other caller said, hey, don't put yourself in this situation. Don't put yourself in any compromising situation, because the way our judicial system, and Professor Pretlow knows a whole lot more about that than I do. The way our judicial system is set up, you knew that in advance, that it does not say that, you're going to be spared jail time if you commit this crime after you're 80 years old or what.
Well,
that's not the way it works.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I agree, except, of course, he wasn't 80 when he committed the crime.
I think we keep forgetting he was a young man.
When he committed that crime.
Yeah. And so now we're punishing him for something that happened, 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
And there's a problem there. And I believe he should have been punished at the time, but there were nobody coming forth to bring it to attention. And I'm not even sure if they had said, okay, he's in his 30s and he commits this crime. I'm not even sure if people would have believed that even if he went to trial, there would have been all these loopholes and all of this to...
Right. But one more point I want to make, and then we'll continue that after the break, is that you made the point, Carol, that actions affect lives.
Yeah.
And just because he's old now, these women have still been walking around with their lives changed and damaged. And that is an important piece to bring up.
Yes.
So let's continue that after the break. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and this is Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their community. Let me go ahead and give you the number again. It is 757-823-9110. We are talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence in light of that, and blacks in the criminal justice system. We have our in-studio guest. We have Dr. Kumalafe from the Political Science Department here at Norfolk State University. Dr. A, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Benita. It's always a pleasure.
And Dr. Carol Pretlow, Associate Professor, also in the Political Science Department. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
And again, we invite you to call with your Me Too story. If you choose not to give your name, that's fine. What is your story if you choose to share that with us? How do you feel about the Bill Cosby sentence? What even about the criminal justice system? We know that there are blatant racial disparities in the racial justice system, and 60% of people behind bars are people of color, which is an amazing statistic. So give us a call, 757-823-9110. Dr. A, I want you to make that point again. We're trying to say, or let me ask you the question like this. Are you saying that it doesn't matter? We should not look at Bill Cosby's race, just his crime?
Not in this case. Okay. In other cases, in the thousands and if not even millions of cases, yes, but not in this particular case. And I'm going to say this just to bring home that point. Sexual harassment or sexual assault, as we have said so many times, it's very odious. is something that actually should be discouraged every opportunity that we have. Now, why is that important? I was listening to Blasey Ford, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lady who accused Judge Kavanaugh.
Judge Kavanaugh, yes.
And I think we were looking at that together, sometimes yesterday. And there was something that I just could not get off my mind, Benita.
It was painful to watch.
It was very painful.
It was very painful, yes.
It was very painful to watch, okay? And I'm looking like, okay, this woman has children,
yes.
Teenage daughters.
Yes, she does.
Okay? And if we start talking about sexual assault, okay, if we start talking about this in terms of who did it, how old, or what the race is, whether we like it or not, inadvertently, what we're trying to do is we're trying to dampen the seriousness of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why I want to say, if we're talking of something else, that may be justified,
but not
in
sexual
this
assault.
particular case,
okay.
I'm not sure that lady, again, that girl, that woman who's listening to us, who's afraid to tell mom or dad what happened to her while she was 15 years old, and she's gonna be like, okay, Bill Cosby is 80 years old, is 81 years old,
right.
Bill Cosby is black. I don't think she's going to be able to make sense of whatever it is.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the phones. Caller, you are live on the air. If you choose to give your name, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Fred. I'm calling from the beautiful city of Norfolk, proud graduate of NSU, 1997, undergrad, 2018 on the graduate level.
Well, Fred, thank you for your resume, and we appreciate that. What are your thoughts, Fred? What are your thoughts on what we're talking about?
I don't know how much time you're going to give me, but I'm just going to try to cover a couple of things.
Okay,
Number
just
one,
give us a couple of points. Go ahead.
Injustice and inequality is, they're not foreign things when it comes to being a person of color in this country. That is something that is, just as normal to us as the nose is on your face. Now, I'm saying that to say what? Bill Cosby made a critical mistake. He forgot what group he belonged to. Bill Cosby convinced himself to believe that he belonged to a class. Now, that being said, if you cannot use history as a tool for learning, that makes you a fool. Case in point, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, all were involved fooling around with underage girls, never so much as got a smack on the wrist. Chuck Berry got convicted of bringing a girl across the state line and they sent him to jail. No one was ever charged or arrested for the innocent murder of women, children, and men in Rosewood, in Tulsa, even the murder of Emmett Till. So what is my point? My point is this.
Okay.
We have to take charge of the narrative. We can't play by somebody else's rules, especially when we know the scales are already tipped in somebody else's favor. I had my own experience years ago where I was involved with a young lady and she called the police on me. Not going to get into all of that.
Okay, Fred.
But ended up going to being placed in a holding cell for just a couple of hours. And that was enough of the system for me to know I'll never be involved with this again.
Fred, I'm going to have to cut you there. We have another call and we're going to break, but thank you so much. I'm going to take our other call and then have our guest make comment. Fred, thank you very much for your call. Okay, could you turn your radio down, please? I can hear you, and then give us your name, please, and ask your question.
Yes, my name is Ray.
Ray? Okay, Ray, what is your question or comment, please?
Well, I was listening to Fred. I do think that he said what I was thinking very well. And all I can say from this point based on Fred's statements, if you keep knocking at the devil's door, eventually someone's going to answer it. End of quote. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ray, for your call. We have a couple of minutes before the break, so I'm going to ask Dr. Pretlow, and then we'll finish this on the other side of the break. Do people get, or in this case, Bill Cosby forgot that he was black? Is that what they're saying?
Well, it sounds strange to us because I can never forget that I'm black. Every time I walk down the street and I see a policeman, I'm like, oh, let me get my act together. Let me look professional. But it is possible that when you have a lot of money and you don't interact with the base of the African American community, you may forget. Now, some of us are fortunate. I say this all the time. I said, I looked at my dad, who was a college graduate, having to get a job as a waiter. And he never acted like he was embarrassed by it. My aunt, on the other hand, said, but you're a college graduate. You shouldn't be. And he said, a job is a job. I'm doing what I can for my family, the community. But somehow we have gotten to the point, us children of the 60s, that, I have arrived, I have my PhD now. And so I'm a little above those people who, oh my God, you're sweeping the floor.
So maybe, and I'll throw this out here and we'll do it after, answer it after the break. Is it race or class in that particular example?
Class.
Let's hold that on the other side. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Everybody, this is Hampton Roads Voices. And in light of the Me Too movement and the Bill Cosby sentence, it's really important to look at the connection of blacks in the criminal justice system. And today we're talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system. Give us a call, 757-823-9110. We have a few callers on the line. Caller, would you tell us your name if you choose to give it? And where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Norfolk.
Yes. What is your question or comment, please?
Well, I want to preface my comment by saying first that I am totally devastated by how our justice system is tipped against people of color. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to make my point about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby used his money and his privilege and his fame to continually perpetuate rape. And these were not situations where they were random at all. They were planned. They were against women who wanted, who respected him and thought that he could help move their careers forward. He enticed them. These were planned, orchestrated rapes. And I think that it has taken years for him to receive a sentence. And I think that others like him, it will take years for them to also receive sentences. But he has used also his power and his money and his prestige and his fame to divert for many years punishment.
I'm going to, we have, I'm sorry to cut you off, and I so appreciate your call, but we do have some other callers. Thank you for calling. We have our other caller on the line. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Virginia Beach.
Okay, I think I hear your radio in the background. Could you turn that down, please?
I just turned it down.
Okay, excellent. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from? You said Virginia Beach, and your name?
Yeah, my name is Casey.
Casey. Okay, Casey, what is your question or comment, please?
Well, my comment is this. The justice system never had been planned for us, and Fred kind of went down the lane I was going to go down. You know what I mean? And you just got to look at the situation now. I mean, it makes you think about when we were little kids and we used to play hide and go seek and in school and grab a little girl dress and, trying to be fresh. But is that going to come back and haunt me, 30, 40 years later? It's just one of those things now where wrong is wrong. And I'm not saying what Bill done was right, because by all means, no means no. I mean, you can't say no other way but N-O. It's just that simple. But I mean, when you look at the way that the system's set up, we as black men and black people, we just don't get that. We don't get that leeway. And I mean, history told us that. So why play in that devil's ring when you already know when something hit the fan, you gonna lose. I mean, you gonna lose. OJ, look at all of them. They lost. I mean,
you're right.
But he lost.
Casey, thank you so much for your call. Thank you again. Okay, we have some other callers. Thank you so much for calling. They're calling at 757-823-9110. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Newport News, Virginia.
Mm-hmm. What is your question or comment? Yes.
I just wanted to say that I feel that his character is the main thing, because out of all this time that passed, he's been in the community doing different things, dealing with different people. And I think if the person would have came forward at an earlier time, if he did this, why ain't nobody else coming up? Why ain't nobody else stepping up and speaking on it?
So you're saying you don't believe the person that made the allegation, and if it was true, a lot of other women would have said that, even though that really is the case. Many women said that, but you're saying you don't believe that's the case. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's just like all these years done passed. He's 81 years old. It just don't make no sense.
Okay.
Well,
okay, thank you for calling. I'll go ahead and let our guests make some comments.
Can I chime in?
Yes. Dr. Pretlow and then Dr. A.
It does take courage to come forth, because even in my little insignificance, people were very critical of me, and that hurts. Other side of it, you have to look at, you get ready to get a job, and they ask a very general question. Have you ever been involved in the criminal justice system? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not as a perpetrator, but maybe as a victim. If you say that, then the employer says, well, how? And in what way? Because they're looking at their environment and what the possibility is that something that will happen in there. So it's a whole range of situations to restrict. Then there are friends. I had a friend who said, well, he would have had to kill me. Well, God, I love you to death, but I don't want to go right now. So, you have all of those dynamics that go into individuals. And I'm not a psychologist, so maybe you should have a psychologist on sometime.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a couple of more calls, and then Dr. A, I'll come to you.
No problem.
You are live on the air. Oh, what is your name, please, and where are you calling from? Hello, are you there? Excuse me. Could you turn your radio down first, please, and then I'll be able to hear you better. Okay. And now, okay, go ahead. Could you let us know what your name is and where you're calling from, please? Hello? Okay, let's go ahead. Adrian, let's go to our next caller. All right, you're live on the air. Where are you calling from, please?
Yes, this is Lakeisha Harris. I'm calling from Norfolk.
Okay, Miss Harris,
also,
what is your
alumni of North State.
Oh, very good. Miss Harris, what is your question or comment?
My comment is just about the United States and just the structure of things. As a previous person suggested that, he forgot about which class he was in. But even in being in that particular class of money, he still need to recognize that there's a distinction. I mean, even how they're handling this case with, getting the judge and the questions he's asked, it's like they asked him, did he want the FBI to basically investigate the situation that's on the table that's preventing him from holding office. However, even in that situation of them being performing the same act, Cosby and him, in our judicial system, it's not going to be the same across the board depending on race. So, to say that it's not an issue of race, it is because it's not fair. If you're going to do something to one individual, let's do it to each individual. If we're supposed to be Americans and it's supposed to be a place where you're allowed to have a free trial and innocent until proven guilty and all of that, it's showing and proof that our judicial system and just the structure of our nation is definitely towards the capitalist type of structure. Right. And that's been just the foundation of our country.
And he should recognize that. Miss Harris, thank you for calling. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
We have a couple more callers on the line. Let's go ahead and take that call. You're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Gerald. I'm calling from Chesapeake.
Okay, Gerald, what is your question or comment?
My comment is about the Bill Cosby situation. First off, I'm 46 years old, and I grew up on Bill Cosby from, let's say, the days of the Electric Company, from picture pages to the Cosby Show, the #1 highest rated show in the early 80s. To see him going the way he's going through it, I think is sad. But also at the same time, not trying to say race is not a factor, but if you look at Brett Kavanaugh, two men, same circumstances. With Brett Kavanaugh, he's in charge of the second highest court in the land, and about to be appointed to the highest court in the nation. So he got interviewed. If you look at it, whereas Bill Cosby is just one after the other, after another, after another. So while it's tragic for him, some things he could have. I'm quite sure that it's on him. While at the same time, the pendulum has to be swing both ways. But unfortunately, in our criminal justice system, it's not that way. I mean, other callers already said O.J. Simpson and other names to state my point. But like I say, it's very tragic. But again, the criminal justice system for African American, Black, and Brown is definitely not fair.
Gerald, thank you so much.
Benita,
Dr. A, go ahead, make a comment.
This is so good because this is exactly what I wanted to hear. And that's why I talked about that distinction, at the beginning of this broadcast, okay? Because there are two things,
right?
Okay? You have one which is political, and you have the other which is judicial.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the thing that I objected to at the beginning is that we should not see Bill Cosby's conviction, it is then, as a race thing. Two examples that your callers have raised right now. The first one is Kavanaugh, okay? And then the second one, actually, I'm the one who raised the second one, President Trump, okay? President Trump did something similar to what Bill Cosby was accused of. He got elected as president of the United States. Is that right?
In spite of.
In spite of.
Yes.
Brett Kavanaugh is about to become, a Supreme Court judge.
Let me say that again. In spite of.
In spite of.
Okay.
But now, that is not the judicial system that did that. It's the people, we the people. It was we the people who elected Trump, which said, it does not matter. And please, I know, and I'm going to be, shouted down by, some of the evangelicals, you understand, who during the Bill Clinton saga, oh my gosh, they were so on the pedestal. And how can this guy be a president of the United States in spite of what he did? And then it came to Trump. But we don't really care about what he does in the bedroom. I mean, you understand, as long as he puts whoever we want on the high bench, we're okay with that. It's not the men that we're really concerned about. It's the policies. And as long as it's giving us what we want as far as policies are concerned, we're good.
But yet, and then we'll take a break, and yet, it just depends situational. At one point, it's, okay, the private life and public life, those are two separate things. And then in another situation, they matter, the whole thing.
Exactly.
And so that's where the confusion and the conversation comes in.
Yes, ma'am.
That we need to look at. Okay, Carol, what do you think about some of the callers and comments?
I think they're right on target. And it's funny because yesterday when we were looking at this thing, now get me with this. When Kavanaugh was nominated, I said, okay, his views are not mine. But the role of the Supreme Court is to be objective. Now, true, there's a format and all of that stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to listen and be objective too. But that man forgot his objectivity. That poor woman, when I saw how difficult it was for her, my heart just cried. Then he gets up there and instead of saying, and here is the lawyer in me who would say, no, look, apologize to her and say, I am sorry that you experienced this. If I don't recall having committed this act. But if I did, I apologize. I'm sorry. I will do everything to make it up to you. That would have brought a whole lot of fun. Instead, he decides to act Trumpish.
He
and
did.
then
He became political.
When he started acting obnoxious, I said, okay, you lost me. As far as I'm concerned, go in the other direction from heaven. And I'm through.
Absolutely. So, all right. Let's go ahead and take a break. Again, we are talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and also the criminal justice system as it relates especially to people of color. Call in with your comments, 757-823-9110. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Hi, everybody. If you're just joining us, I'm Benita Adams, and we are here talking today about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and the criminal justice system. We have our two in-studio guests. We have Dr. Kumalafe from the Political Science Department, and also from the Political Science Department, Dr. Carol Pretlow. We have a caller on the line. Caller, what is your name, please, and where are you calling from? If you go ahead and turn your radio down just a little bit, and go ahead and ask your question, please.
Yes, my question is how do we change the system as far as the judges that are giving these sentences, and how if Kavanaugh does get nominated, is he one of those type people that's going to perpetuate the situation for the black, the discrimination in the court system?
Okay, great question. Great question. Thank you for calling. Dr. A, I'll throw that one to you first.
Yes, and I was going to take that. Again, I want to remind the caller that whatever decision that is made, on Monday, Saturday, whenever it's made, it's going to be a political decision. Now it's going to become a judicial decision once Kavanaugh get on the bench, you understand, and he starts ruling against sexual assault or sexual harassment cases. And at that point, then I'll still go back to us with the people, because we were warned. We knew who this guy was. We chose not to believe what he did. In fact, not that we chose not to believe what he did, we made excuses on his behalf. Okay? But please understand that all along, it is a political decision. It was not, if that decision had been made within a courtroom, then it would be germane. It would be relevant to what we're talking about as far as Bill Cosby is concerned.
So are you saying there's something, Carol, go ahead first.
And I think what's happening in the House is they're hoping to rush this appointment through before there's an election day. Now, if we can hold on and elect and vote on November, what is it, 6, 9, whatever, in November, then, and Democrats get in, that's a whole new ballgame. The thing of it is the court has now basically a conservative majority. And if that conservative majority holds tight, then we're going to see a whole lot of changes. Aside from Roe v. Wade, we're going to see some other changes. We've got gerrymandering, we've got the districts, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to in for a rough time, I think.
So, and I hear what you're saying. And Dr. A, am I to assume that you're saying that because we knew what we had, but something is going to surprise us about Judge Kavanaugh?
I hope not.
Okay.
But guess what? I'm not going to bet on it. Okay, because the way we're seeing, I don't know how many people were following these. There was a guy that we were looking out for to see which way he was going to swing, Senator Jeff Flake. I understand that this afternoon he came out and said that, well, despite the fact that he gave a scathing rebuke of fellow Republicans about the fact that they should have listened to Dr. Blasey Ford, and they should have taken her a little bit more seriously. What kind of country is this? What do you want, the younger generation to think about us? And then he will come out and say, well, you know what? I'm still going to support this guy anyway. And that, to me, does not make any sense. And please, let me go back to that question of, political decisions. Republicans understand, how important it is to have somebody like Kavanaugh on the bench, on the high bench, on the Supreme Court.
Right.
But here's where we are going to pay even a higher price, okay? If this guy is exactly who Dr. Blasey Ford says that he is, and two other women, then I want everybody that is listening to me today, everybody that can hear my voice today, watch out and see what side is going to take on decisions that come to the Supreme Court as far as sexual assault or sexual harassment cases are concerned.
And what is even scarier is that if the Republicans retain control of both the House, the Senate, and then we have a presidency, oh my God, all three branches are going to be very conservative, and you can watch for some racial implications there. I don't want to say that the whole world is going to change, but I'm not convinced that we're not going to have some unpleasant situations.
And so you said in terms of both of those, but Dr. A, you're saying cases in as they are related to sexual assault. What do you see? What are you imagining that because if perhaps he gets on the bench, what could happen?
He's a guy who, as you reminded us yesterday, has not forgotten what happened during the Starr investigation, Bill Clinton impeachment, who reminds us of Bush v. Gore, what happened, who reminds us of the fact that, Democrats have not forgotten what happened to Clinton in 2016. What does that mean? He has a very long memory.
Definitely.
What does that mean? He does not forget. And I don't think anything is going to change if he gets on the bench. That means he's going to remember too. And again, I don't know. I wish they would have allowed the FBI to investigate. I wish they would have called Mark Judge, the guy who was there when the lady alleged that he was being sexually assaulted. It would have been a lot easier for me, for you, and for people who are listening to determine whether he actually did it or not. Am I leaning towards that? Yes, but that's a guesstimate. But more importantly, and I go back to that point that I made the first time, okay? These are political decisions, okay? There is no doubt. Please, let everybody that is listening to your show right now understand that I'm not saying that there is that the criminal justice system is not broken as far as racial discrimination is concerned. We all know that. Every single research that is out there has pointed to that. But I'm saying don't let us confuse, the political with the judicial.
Okay.
If you talk about what happened to Bill Cosby judicially, he deserves it. He merits it. For me, it's not a question of race. Okay. But when you talk about some of the political decisions that end up in our courtrooms, because of the federal judges that we appoint, or some of them that we elect, and we know, you understand, the political leanings that they have on both sides. Whether it's on the right, on the left, you should expect that somebody who's been accused of sexual harassment by 3 women, you should assume that he's not going to get on the bench and all of a sudden say, you know what? I'm a changed person.
Now,
when it comes to the ruling.
Okay.
There was one person, and I think I said it on this show once before, that did change. But that was way back in the day. And that was Earl Warren. Everybody was like, he's very conservative. He gets on there and he said, oh, yeah, I played the game. I'm not really that conservative. I wanted to be right here. And now that I'm here, okay, things are going to change.
And so, Dr. Pretlow, you mentioned racial concerns if they have House, Senate, and obviously the presidency. So what were you saying? I know you want.
I'm really nervous about this because I think that if you have 3 branches of government under the control of one party, goodbye checks and balances, goodbye separation of powers. It's going to be the Trump dynasty.
And a few of our callers did say that Bill Cosby, putting that piece in there, forgot what group he was in. And maybe he should have thought about that first. Wait a minute, you're black. Maybe you won't get off. I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, and before the break, we were talking about race versus class.
And I think you're right on, because I think, and I've never had the experience. I'd love to have the experience of being so rich that it didn't matter. But I know that maybe operating in a different stratosphere, he doesn't get on the ground and see day to day the experiences of the black community. Now, there are some people who do, who go to less privileged communities, look around, talk to people, even in non-election years, go around and say, well, what's happening? But I don't think Bill Cosby was one of those people. Mm-hmm. And I think there are very few people that do that. And so if you have a class-based society, there'll be a tiny percentage of African Americans, a larger percentage of Asian Americans, but basically it's going to be mostly European Americans. And the whole dynamic will change.
And those are important thoughts. And we want to hear what your thoughts are. We're talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system. Do you have a Me Too story that you would love to share with us to get your perspective on it? What about the Bill Cosby sentence? 3 to 10 years, a little harsh, too lenient. What do you think? What about other people of different races in terms of being accused of sexual assault? And do you feel the Me Too movement has helped the conversation at all about sexual assault? Give us a call at 757-823-9110. This is Hot 91.
It's Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and we're talking about the Me Too movement. If you have a story you'd like to share with us, we know it's a sensitive topic, so if you choose not to give your name, that will be fine, but your Me Too story. And we're also talking about the Bill Cosby sentence. How do you feel about that? So we have our in-studio guest, and I want to, and our number is 757-823-9110. Now, I asked the question, do you think the Me Too movement has helped the conversation about sexual assault? And we know the Me Too movement was started by activist Renata Burke. She's an African-American lady, and that was in 2006. And she really wanted to show how women should have solidarity around this particular topic, especially as it was related at that time, Rose McGowan's allegation of sexual harassment against Harvey Weinstein. So Dr. Pretlow and then Dr. A, has it helped the conversation, the Me Too movement at all?
I definitely think it helps the conversation, because even before the last 2 years, you didn't hear about. And, of course, it was going on. You'd hear maybe a whisper or two in a barber shop or on the street, but you didn't hear the massive conversations. It is rare that I go to the mall or that I'm sitting in a cafe that people are not talking about this, black, white, whatever they are. And I think any issue needs light. It needs to hear from us, the average citizen. And believe it or not, those people that are sitting in Congress who may think I'm only talking to one base, they're talking to a wider base now. And I think that's the positive of Me Too.
Dr. A.
Benita, let me say, how the Me Too movement has advanced this argument 3 ways. Number one, it has given voice to the voiceless. Number 2, it has emboldened people, especially women, victims. But number 3, and that's probably the most important thing, it has put the perpetrators on notice that you can no longer do business as usual.
One of our callers, Carol, had talked about, and we mentioned this a little bit during the break, about coming forward and it taking so long. And she said, well, if this is really the case, why are these women not saying anything until 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later? But it sometimes takes that long.
And particularly in the culture 20 years ago or 30 years ago, where you had, to a large extent, even those people who considered themselves middle class had to be very protective of what they said, what they did. I know from experience in a high school in Isle of Wight County, a woman was fired just because she said to a student, "I don't give a damn." Now, to me, that's standard language. But, I mean, she was a great math teacher. Why in the world? Maybe she could have been reprimanded and said, "We don't accept that kind of language." But the school board at that time there was not an equal distribution. And so sometimes you're looking at the climate that you are actually living in, and the climate at that time was you would have been devastated. And so that now the climate is more to looking at the person. I mean, years ago, if you talked about gay rights, oh my gosh, don't say nothing. You know, so it takes time.
And you also mentioned, then Dr. I'll get to you. You also mentioned that even in the black community, especially, not secret, but something perhaps not encouraged to talk about, but to keep it in our community and not let people know these things were going on.
Yeah, because we were looking at the fact that, and at the time, I took it very personally when it happened to me. But then when I began to look at city government and the allocation of resources for this community, if I had gone to city council and spoken about it, it might have been that the resources for this community would have been cut. It could have meant that the resources for Norfolk State would have been cut. So on a political level, there was that. On a social level, people said I should have been embarrassed, although I don't know why anybody would have attacked me because I had a hoodie on and a fur-lined jacket and tights and socks, and that was not attractive. So, you know, you're looking at all of that, and you're thinking, okay, times have changed. Today, we look at women who say, no, we have rights. No matter how you're dressed or what your persona is, you have the right to walk down that street.
Right.
And so the political climate and the social climate has changed.
And we also had a couple of callers call in, and you made mention of this, Dr. A, about the no means no. And he said he's teaching his sons to absolutely understand what that means. Go ahead.
I just wanted to remind your audience that for every woman, for every man who comes out, 20 years or 30 years after, there are 10 more who will never have the courage to come out. And that's where the Me Too becomes very relevant. And that's why I hope and pray that the Me Too will not fade away anytime soon, but will get stronger and stronger because they are performing a very, very, so much needed social task on the political scene.
I think it's so important because it allows women who perhaps would not have talked about this at all to see and show a woman who is speaking out, and then it gives her the courage. I can do it too, to come forward and say, let me tell you my story, my Me Too story. Go ahead.
After a while, if you talk about it, some of the pain goes away. And even for this show, I had to go back to, I kept a journal since I was 10 years old. I had to go back to my diary and say, okay, what exactly? And some of the details I had forgotten because other things I had a supportive atmosphere here in Norfolk State. I had supportive people who were saying to me, I got your back. And that's what You Too does.
That's what it does. We have a caller on the line. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Hi, my name is Angel, and I'm calling from Virginia Beach.
Angel, what is your question or comment, please?
Well, my comment was, I think that I am in agreement with you with everything that's been said thus far. I just wanted to say that I think in our community of people that we have fear, and sometimes, it does take years for things to come out, but I think that people, if they would just learn how to just speak up at the time that it happens and not be afraid, a lot of things would get done. And I think sometimes that's what holds us back because of that fear that sometimes that's instilled in us, and society teaches us really subliminally, like to not say nothing and to sweep it under the rug, certain families, and, you know, don't say anything. But the rationality is what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And, you know, no woman should have to hold back from being sexually harassed or feeling demeaned, dehumanized by a man, or a man being dehumanized by a woman of that nature. But it just goes, you know, vice versa. It's just, you know, people are scared to speak, but I just feel like, you know, people should speak up. I'm glad that everybody's coming out now, but even if it wasn't the time back in the days, I just feel like I've just come from an open family that whatever happens, you open your mouth, you speak on it, whether people like it or not.
Angel,
I don't know.
do you
My
think,
grandmother just raised me how to be a strong woman, that's all. And
Angel,
I know,
do you think the Me Too
Yeah.
movement has helped with the conversation? Do you feel that it's helped alleviate some of the fear and allowing women to go forward? What do you think about that part?
I do think that now, yes, ma'am. But it would have happened sooner if they did speak up at the time that it happened. But I do get now that we are coming to that age that we're understanding now not to be afraid. And I get that. But, you know, I'm just saying some of us, you know, we should have said it when it happened. But I'm just saying that, you know, possibly fear is what was the problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Angel, thank you so much for your call.
Thank you for listening.
Dr. A.
Yes, I was going to say that we have to understand too that the longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to become for the law enforcement to be able to, you know, verify and probably validate, you know, your claim or your accusation. But apart from the fear of it, there's another thing that I don't know whether we can ever get rid of this, is the shame factor. Okay?
Yeah.
People, and I keep saying, ladies out there, I need to correct myself because it's not only women who are victims of sexual harassment or sexual assault, it's both men and women.
Absolutely.
Okay? So the shame factor, that's number one. But that fear, I want to qualify that fear too. Because it's the fear that if I come out, people would not believe me.
Yeah.
And that is why it's so important what is happening to, or what we're witnessing right now happening to, you know, Brett Kavanaugh, to Blasey Ford, that despite the fact that we have a woman who has the courage to come out, yet people choose not to believe her. Okay? Bill Cosby, let us remind everybody that almost got away with this because people did not believe, because the first trial was a mistrial. Remember that?
Yeah, it was a mistrial.
Which shouldn't have been at all. Okay? Again, I was not there. You were not there. Nobody was there. But when you have 50-something people accusing you of something, what do they say? If they smoke, it's got to be fire somewhere.
Absolutely.
Ain't that right?
So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to pick up on that part about shame, because we talked fear, but let's talk shame and see where that goes in our conversation. Don't forget to give us a call, 823-9110. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and we're talking about the Me Too movement, the Bill Cosby sentence, and blacks in the criminal justice system. Go ahead and give us a call at 757-823-9110. We have a caller on the line. Caller, what is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chesapeake.
Okay. And what is your question or comment, please?
Well, my comment is on the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a survivor of molestation, and I recently spoke up about, you know, what I've been through, to not only my parents, but also to my loved ones and, of course, your guest, the Kumalafe. And, you know, he knows most of my story.
Okay.
And the main question that I really have is, how do we also make sure that the black community also knows that there is no benefit in sheltering men that do molest your children? Because the main problem that I've noticed, even under my own mom's household, was that men get away with a lot of things and they're coddled for their wrongdoing.
Right.
And she's coddling the man that did this to me for 3 years. And she's doing so by slandering my name, lying on me, And that's also a common problem that I've also had other friends endure as well. So how do we establish to the black community that there's no benefit in coddling men that molest your daughters or women that molest your sons, and understand that there's power in speaking up, and power in also making sure that person never has the opportunity to hurt anyone again?
I think that's a great question. Let me ask you one question. What allowed you, we talked about fear and shame and so forth, what allowed you, or was the impetus that said, I need to go ahead and tell my story?
I finally was able to move out.
Mm-hmm.
I was living there because of financial issues, and it became extremely problematic because this man would boast about my mom keeping him and not believing me.
Mm.
And it came to a point where I actually told her. I broke down, I cried, and I told her. And when she finally confronted him, it was like he really gave away the signs that he was caught. And she knew that. But when I move out and I inform my boyfriend and my friends, they're encouraging me, you need to speak out more about it. You don't owe your mother, you don't owe him, you don't even owe that man anything. You deserve the right to speak out, because you got a lot of other little girls who feel the same way that I felt. Being molested for years, having people boast about, oh, your mom's not going to believe you. She already thinks that you're this and you're that. And you want to know what the ironic part of this is? Mm-hmm. I'm doing this on this man's birthday.
Mm. Wow.
I love it.
Congratulations.
Yes, girl.
So,
keep on.
I really don't have any pity towards any men who think that they can do whatever they want to women, because to any girl out there, you are a beautiful woman. You have the right to speak up. There is no shame in you. Even if your family isolates you, there is power in knowing that you spoke up, and there is nothing better than knowing that you love yourself enough to speak up, and know that at the end of the day, you are not losing any sleep. Get therapy, even though that is sometimes frowned upon the black community. Get therapy and understand that there is help, and that you cannot do this on your own. You got thousands and thousands of girls out there like me, and I have no shame in telling people my story.
Thank you.
It can be hard, but now I don't have no problem saying it.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
First
that's
of all,
wonderful.
just thank
that
you
she
for your
talks.
courage. Thank you for your courage in coming forward and knowing that even if no one believes you, that you were going to go ahead. And thank you so much for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. A.
Benita, I was waiting to add something
Yes,
to that
I know.
Let me take just 30 seconds, and I'm going to do it in the form of a story.
Okay.
The last caller, when she came, and she gave me a poem that she wrote. Actually, a couple of poems that she wrote. It was about her experience. That was my first time of, knowing that. And all you were listening to me, there's no shame in my game, because I'm about to tell you that I cried when I read those poems. I have like about 60 pages of those poems now, because she's been writing them for the past 4 years. So when we are talking about Bill Cosby, when we are talking about him in terms of race, or this, all the time I had this woman in my mind. What if it had been Bill Cosby? Would it have mattered to her whether he was black or white? These are real stories. We understand. Everybody here understands the fact that there's discrimination in the criminal justice system. But this is not the case. This is not a case. This is a case about what happened to that last caller.
Right.
And by the way, she's such a courageous woman.
Yes, she was.
And a very smart woman.
Wow.
I can tell you that.
Amazing. Carol, that touched my heart.
Mine too. It's just, so I guess the essence is it's within you, and people tell me other things. Well, you should be embarrassed. It's real hard, Dr. Gay, you know this, to embarrass me, because I'm like, okay, that's in you that thinks that I should be embarrassed, but me is not embarrassed. It takes courage. I know this, because the pain is still there.
Right.
But the more you work like this young lady, the stronger you get. And after a while, like, you're the idiot, I'm surviving. And here I am, and you are still trapped, but I'm not. I'm free.
You're free.
And your freedom comes because you're courageous enough. And it's not easy.
Right.
Because you do confront people that, well, you shouldn't do this. Okay, that's you. You know, I'm sorry you feel that way, but me is going on. And the more you go on, the stronger you get. And the stronger you get, the more powerful you get.
I love that she said that sometimes our families don't always believe us at first. And
my family never.
Right.
You know, remember I said the fear of that question, will people believe me?
Will they believe me?
But, you know, I think it's hard to, and I know she must have a very difficult experience when your family doesn't. Now, I was lucky. My parents believed me. The other people, oh, well, I'm sorry you don't, but bye. To know that your parents, your mother, the person that has nurtured you doesn't believe you or doesn't stand up. That is, I just
Karen?
listen to her and can't imagine.
You know what Dr. Ford said, Christine Blasey Ford, and when they were asking her, I think on one occasion she was asked that, why did you wait 36 years or 30, whatever that.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what she said? He said, you're 15 years old. You are at a party that you probably are not even supposed to be.
Drinking
and
beer
then
with boys.
Drinking beer with
the
boys.
boys.
And then you want to go home and say, hey, Mom, guess what happened to me today?
Right.
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
Let us keep that in perspective.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about, as she said, as year after year, as a child. And she said, get counseling, even though it's hard. And you said, Carol, the freedom comes in saying, this happened to me, and now I'm able to.
Well, you know, I think about counseling because when I went to the hospital after the attack that I had, well, we're going to assign you a counselor. I said, no, that's all right. God and I have talked about this. And my mom got my back. And the policeman said, well, you know, mothers get emotional. I said, you ain't meet my mom. And it was the strength of not only my mother and my parents, but the church community who said, yes, Carol, this happened. We are here to talk to you. So I didn't have to go to the little counseling things because I had, and I'm not putting them down. It helped some people. But for me, it was that community. And it was Norfolk State who said, I'll drive you home. Or, girl, no, you shouldn't do that because this is getting dark out. And even professors that I wasn't particularly close to said, now, calm down, we got you. And they took turns as to who was going to take me home at night and all. So, you know, you look for your support where you can find it.
As I was looking online, and then we're almost out of time, but in terms of specific organizations, I just want to put this out here because we're very much solutions-oriented here on Hampton Roads Voices. It says in this community, YWCA and Sexual Domestic Violence Services, Her Shelter, that's helping in emergency response, the Geneva Shelter, Samaritan House, the Navy Family Advocacy Program. Those are resources that are available to women even in this community and other communities as well. And so you said we're talking about children sometimes and young people. There is help available. I would not want to end this show without letting them know that there are people out there. And Carol, you've said it over and over again. There are people out there to help you in this situation.
And I hate to keep adding this, but there's Norfolk State faculty, and we are the most, to me, now I'm not objective here. I know I have a bias, but I think Norfolk State faculty is among the most loving, giving. Yes, we're hard on people in class, but even when I personally, and I'm an old person, when I have a situation, there are people on faculty that say, Pretlow, now calm down. Let's get this together. We helping you here.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to talk to us.
Okay, so our conversation has been amazing today. Again, we've talked about the Me Too movement, Bill Cosby sentencing blacks in the criminal justice system. We've had Dr. Akumalafe, professor and department chair. Dr. A, how can they find your department? Any contact information you'd like to give?
I'm glad you asked. I always tell people Brown Memorial Hall, GWC Brown Memorial Hall is the most beautiful building on campus right now.
It is
Please
beautiful.
stop by and visit us. We're on the 3rd floor. Is room 333. And if you want to call us, please feel free to call us at 757-823-8999. There are some wonderful things that are happening, especially with the political science department. Don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Stop by and find out for yourself.
And we have fun.
And we have fun. Absolutely. Dr. Pretlow, do you want to give any contact information, your office number or anything?
You can reach me through that same number. And if I'm not available, please leave a message, and I promise you I'll call back. If I'm not it's not my office hours. I might say, meet me at Barnes & Noble. I'm embarrassed by that sometimes because I'm always there. But Barnes & Noble or any of the shops downtown or even at the student center because I love to eat there.
Well, I have so appreciated your conversation today. Please don't forget that you can hear the rebroadcast of this show every Sunday from noon to 2. And also, we are on our YouTube channel at Hampton Roads Voices. And follow us on social media. We are on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. And you can check me out, my Facebook page, BK Adams. And you can also see me on Instagram. So again, it's been my pleasure being your host today on Hampton Roads Voices. Don't forget, every Friday, 5 to 7, it is not a conversation without you. Thanks for listening. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB FM. Thank you for listening.